But the
All
coaching
right.
carousel keeps turning in the NBA. It's not often we
Mhm.
get first-time head coaches. Usually it's just teams exchanging, coaches that have been around for a while. And we've seen that in Cleveland now today, hiring Kenny Atkinson as
Mhm.
their head coach. And, I think Kenny Atkinson did a great job when he was head coach of Brooklyn. And I think
Yeah.
it would have gone a lot better for Brooklyn had they kept him instead of getting Steve Nash in. But now he's in Cleveland. And Scott, it goes back to what you were saying about it's not the X's and O's. It's the what did you say was the phrase?
The Jimmy and Joe's.
The
It's not the
Jimmy and
X's and
Joes,
O's,
the
the
Jimmy and
Jimmy
Joes,
and
because
Joe's.
this is the
Exactly.
biggest question for Cleveland. BJ's not here today, but we've had this conversation a million times throughout the season.
Hmm.
What direction are they going to go in? Because as assembled, it's very tough. Unless Evan Mobley makes a major leap in shooting from the outside, it's very tough for this roster to get the best out of the tools that they have available in Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell playing alongside each other, and Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley playing alongside each other. So with this hire for Cleveland, I don't think JB Bickerstaff did too bad of a job with the
I
tools he had
agree.
available. He gets a lot of
Hmm.
criticism from the fans, but it's
Yeah.
easy to blame the coach because on paper you see talented players and you just assume that there should be a way for them to work together. But sometimes it just doesn't fit. What do you see the direction of the Cleveland Cavaliers moving forward? And if you were in that seat, what would you do with the Cavs?
Okay. First of all, let me congratulate JB Bickerstaff. Even though he lost his job, thought he did a really good job with the Cavaliers. They were in prime position this year. They advanced around into the playoffs. Thought he did an excellent job. Very well deserving of another opportunity to become a head coach in this league. Also, congratulations to Kenny Atkinson, who I know a little as well. Um, you pointed out he did an excellent job in Brooklyn. And Kenny Atkinson really cut his teeth in this league as a developmental coach. And that was on full display when he was at Brooklyn. He took a young group, he got guys better. He challenged them to expand their games. Jared Allen is one of those young guys that he had in Brooklyn. And we see how much better he's continued, to get over the course of his career. But it started with a guy like Kenny Atkinson. Um, so he's going to bring that component to this Cleveland team to get guys and challenge players to take a leap in terms of their individual abilities. If a guy's not quite there yet as a three-point shooter, he's going to work to get him better with that, and so on and so forth. The big thing and the big question here, and you said if I'm there in Cleveland, how does Donovan Mitchell feel about this move? That I don't know. That's going to be important. What is his connection to Donovan Mitchell going to be um, moving forward? Because as I see it, it's important that you hold on to him with this team, because if you end up losing him, well, you better be able to, and if you have to trade him, you better be able to get a lot in return to be able to stay afloat in the Eastern Conference. They were the fourth seed this year. You're not trying to go backwards. And so that's how I'm looking at this. I think this team needs a little more physicality overall as I watch them. So I would be trying to figure out how I could add more physical presence to my roster, maybe even in a backup capacity on the front line. That will be important. And continue, and then see if I can add another perimeter shooter. I know Max Strus, that was what he was brought in for, and Georges Niang last year. Now, hopefully that those guys are going to have better chemistry with the group you have there. But you got to add a little more up front, from my seat, from a physical standpoint, to be able to play better playoff basketball, because that, to me, was one of the Achilles heels for this Cavaliers team. So, Donovan Mitchell, how are we going to make sure we keep him? Because that would be the most important thing to me, being there. And B, how I'm going to add some size and physicality to help enhance what Donovan Mitchell does and Darius Garland does, and see if we can't get better and keep moving up the ladder in the Eastern Conference.
Now, if our good friend BJ Armstrong was here, he would be saying Donovan Mitchell should be playing the lead guard position. So, Scott, do
Mm-hmm.
you think that the Cavs at some point are going to move on from Darius Garland? Or do you think, with the uncertainty of whether or not Mitchell wants to be in Cleveland long term, they'd look to move him while they still can?
Well, see, that's why I told you in the beginning. let's say for the sake of this conversation that you know Donovan is going to be back and you're going to have him locked up for another 4 or 5 years. It is incumbent upon you as an executive to at least explore what BJ is talking about there. Are we better with Donovan playing the one? Because we're small in the backcourt when both he and Darius start. But if I can play Donovan at the one and then have a two guard that's 6'5" to 6'7", now that changes the dynamic of our team. And this is no disrespect to Darius Garland, who they drafted, who was homegrown, and it's a lot of times that can be emotionally tough for teams to let go of somebody that you've groomed and he's become an all-star. You've paid him. He's part of the fabric of who you are. But at least behind the scenes, you have to be looking and exploring. Is there an opportunity to go get a two guy? You know, you look at a guy like a Contavious Caldwell Pope. He's not an all-star, but he's a two-way.
He's a champion.
Two guard.
That's what he is.
And he's a champion. He has the defensive chops that you want. He can shoot the three. Do you put a pairing like that together? And would he be somebody of interest to somebody like the Denver Nuggets? So those are the kind of things you have to look at. But again, it all starts with your comfort level and knowledge of being able to keep Donovan Mitchell, because he is, in my opinion, without question, the star of this team and someone that if I were there, you're going to try to figure out how we're going to continue to build around and move forward with.
Yeah, if you look at recent years, no team has been able to repeat as champions in a while now since that Warriors dynasty. But the two players who have been able to get multiple championships are Contavious Caldwell-Pope and Drew Holiday. So having a defensive-minded guard on your roster is imperative to success in the modern NBA. I think if you have two guys who are shot creators, who are great offensively, but defensively, you know, although you could see an uptick in their effort this season, ultimately they're not guys that can go and lock down, especially in a league now where there's so much talented perimeter scoring available on almost every team in the NBA. I think they definitely need to go, and KCB is a fantastic shout of a guy that they're going to that they should be trying to acquire.